Hey everyone, it's Alex, and it's time to talk about the Cubs for the month of August. We're already at the end of August. Baseball season is getting close to wrapping up here. We got one more month of the regular season. It's football season now, basically, which is really weird because now we're kind of in this weird spot where we're now starting a season and then we're going to be wrapping up another one here shortly, and then when we get to postseason baseball, basketball and hockey season begins. So, then we get the rare month where all four major pro sports leagues in the United States are playing at the same time. So, how are the Cubs doing? Not great. I'm not gonna lie, the Cubs are really, really struggling this month. I mean, it's actually really annoying. Because I want to say it was either the June or the July reaction video. I mentioned that it's not quite panic time yet. They're not playing as great as they did at the beginning of the year, but it's all right. They can rebound, right? And they really haven't. They've kind of struggled out of the All-Star break, and it continued into August. They're a losing series against teams they really shouldn't be. And Despite all that, they still have the third best record in the National League, yet with the way that the Brewers are playing, it feels like the team is going nowhere. Coming into September, the Brewers have not only a 6.5 game on the Cubs in the NL Central, but a 5.5 game lead on the entire National League. The Brewers just cannot lose unless they're playing the Cubs right now for some weird reason. Because as much as we are frustrated in Chicago with how the Brewers have been playing, the Cubs won the season series against Milwaukee. They won it 7-6. They won more games than they lost against the Milwaukee Brewers this season, which I can assure you, not a lot of teams by the end of the year are going to be able to say they did. The problem is, the Cubs are incredibly inconsistent right now and cannot consistently find ways to win games. Now, before I continue, I'm going to go ahead and show you a video clip that I recorded right after the Pirates series, around the middle of August, right before that 5-game series that the Cubs had at home against the Brewers. So I'm going to show you guys that, and then we'll go ahead and talk about what happened in the back half of the month. Okay, I'm a little nervous about the Cubs here. Have been for about a week. And I feel like we're at the halfway point of August. They're about to take on the Brewers in the upcoming week. And I really need to talk about a couple of these things and be a bit more pertinent. This is pressing because, wow, am I nervous. So the Cubs just wrapped up a series against the Pittsburgh Pirates in what I'm viewing right now as a huge get-right series, because the first couple weeks of August have been really alarming. You exit that series against the Brewers, and they get 2 or 3 out of you. They take the division lead. You're not feeling great. You get the Orioles, who have been struggling this year. You win 2 or 3, but you really should have had a sweep. You really should have. The one game you lost, you blew that game. You really should have had that sweep. That would have been nice. Because guess what? The Brewers just lost today against the Reds in walk-off fashion. It broke a 14-game winning streak. The Brewers cannot lose. I don't know what type of devil magic they have. They cannot lose. And so here we are going into this series thinking it's going to be incredibly important for the division race, which it absolutely still is. But the Cubs now have 70 wins. They just picked up their 70th win of the year. They are that's tied for the third best record in the National League, as the time you're recording, because the Dodgers are still playing. If they win, then they take a half-game lead. They are 5 games ahead of the wild card marker, which is nice. They're probably still going to make the wild card, but they're 8 games behind the Brewers. It is unbelievable. So I just saw this today on Twitter. The Brewers were 49-40. They are now 78-45. If that doesn't tell you that they've been on one of the most ridiculous tears I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know what will. Because, oh my gosh, they can't lose. It is impossible to beat that team right now. They find ways to win, and it's unbelievable. And now the Cubs got to play 5 of them. 5 games in a row in 4 days against that baseball team. Honestly, they might get only one of them. I don't know if they get 2, which is really frustrating. Because if they want to have any shot at taking the NL Central, they need to do some real damage against the Brewers here. I'm talking about not even winning 3 games. If they really want to have a shot, they got to win 4 or 5. They got to do a real dent in this team. The problem is the team has struggled. And it's like, again, the Cubs still have not gotten swept this season at all. They have not gotten swept. When they have lost the first 2 games, they have at least won the third. They have not gotten swept this season. The problem is they've been winning only 1 game in the last couple series. They don't look very good. For a good stretch there, only up until this weekend against the Pirates, all their wins in August had been when they had taken the lead first and held on to the lead. They had not, if they had trailed at any point in the game, they were losing. They couldn't rally. They couldn't get they couldn't score a run when runners were in scoring position. They have been really bad. PCA has struggled. He's been terrible in August. Kyle Tucker is having a terrible 2-month slump right now. Their 2 biggest stars can't perform. Matt Shaw is the guy that's played the best, and Craig Counsell won't move him up in the lineup. They're calling up Owen Casey, their top prospect. He plays 1 game, and then he's sat the rest of these 3 games against the Pirates, and now they're going to play him tomorrow against the best team in baseball. I don't get it. The team has struggled, but they're not terrible. That's the weird thing. They're not terrible, but when the benchmark and the comparison is a team that can't lose and finds ways to win it any way possible, and you're struggling to win 1 of 3 at times, it really, really hurts. Because the team's still pretty good, objectively speaking. 70-53 is not a bad record. There are warning signs. There were warning signs at the end of July. You could tell that they were struggling coming out of the All-Star break a little bit. They lost that series to the Brewers, and you're not feeling great. You're like, okay, schedule maybe lightens up a little bit. Let's try and rebound here while the Brewers do their thing. See if you can kind of keep pace with them, and they have not. It's hard to believe that a month ago, the Cubs had the lead in the NL Central, and they're now 8 games behind. And it feels like with a month and a half left to go, there's no way they're winning this division. Because if the Brewers play even remotely the way they've played for the last half month, for the rest of the year, it's over. It is over. And the Brewers win this division by double-digit games easily. So there are some warning signs. I'm a little nervous, but hopefully this series win against the Pirates with 2 comeback wins, 2 games where they were trailing, and then 1 can spark something, because holy cow, it has been really hard to watch this team over the last half month. I needed to hop on here real quick and talk about it a little bit, because this is just how I'm feeling right now. They're not a terrible baseball team right now. Their stars are not performing right now. They've been able to squeak away 1 win in some of these series, but they need to find a way to win 2 each time they go out, at least, because they cannot afford to continue to play like this and instill confidence in their fans they're going to perform well in the playoffs. If they get there, because if they play continuously 1 of 2 and start slipping, they're going to fall out of the playoff picture. They got to find a way to recorrect the ship here and pretty much play 500 ball until the playoffs begin. That's what I want them to try and at least do. Go 500 for the rest of the regular season, and you're going to make the playoffs.
barring something ridiculous. So, I don't know. I'm stressed going into this Brewers series because the Brewers are hotter than ever. They've won 14 in a row, and a couple of those being in walk-off fashion. It's not like the Brewers are destroying teams over and over and over again. They're finding a way to win close games, game in, game out. You have to find a way to crack them. You have to get at least 2 in this 5-game series. I know that 2 is probably not acceptable when you think about the division, but at this point, when they just had a 14-game win streak snapped, I don't see them winning more than 1 game. I don't see it. So, if they get swept, that's when the real warning signs are on, in my opinion. But I don't know, whatever. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. But yeah, I'm a little nervous. Not a great showing in Toronto. Offense looks terrible half the time. They can't get great run support. I mean, the offense needs to wake up. The offense has stunk since the All-Star break. They need to wake up, figure it out, and get the bats rolling again. If they can get some run support, they're going to win more games. It's that simple. Oh, man, I don't know. I got to stop. So that's it. I'm really, really fed up with the team right now. They got to find a way to correct the ship. We'll see.
I felt like that was probably a better idea because I was feeling a couple feelings going into that series with how they had been really struggling. They managed to win that series against the Pirates, but still it wasn't like they were beating them convincingly. Still didn't feel great about it. Then they had the Brewers next. So I wanted to get some sort of feelings out because, talking about all this stuff at the end of the month can make the beginning of the month feel a little bit more insignificant. There's a lot of things that can get overlooked. So, kind of stopping it in the middle, short little video just to get some thoughts out there to throw into here is nice. Anyways, let's talk about the Brewers series. It was originally supposed to start as a doubleheader, but the second game of that doubleheader got canceled. Because again, this is a 5-game series because they had a game canceled the last time the Brewers came to Chicago. So they had another rescheduling, and in said game that they played on the first day of that series, the Cubs lost 7-0. And you're just like, well, this is just going to be awesome. And then something changes. Because the Cubs don't just win the next game, they sweep the doubleheader. They win the second game on the next day, which that's pretty cool. Hey, back-to-back wins against the Brewers. I like that. They don't settle for just 2 wins in a row. They get a third in a row. Oh, man. And that third game that they won, 4-3, that felt like they just barely escaped the Brewers' devil magic because Matt Shaw hit a insurance run homer, which ended up being the game-winning run to make it 4-2, going to the top of the ninth. Brewers score runs 4-3, and Nico Horner makes an unbelievable catch at second base to end the game. I mean, that ball is in the outfield. It hits the ground. The game is tied. And we go to extras probably if they don't get a second. And if they probably get a second run, the game's probably over. I'll admit that. So Nico Horner saves that game. And the Cubs win 3 in a row against the Brewers, handing their first 3-game losing streak since early to mid-May. So, yeah, I think that's kind of important. The Cubs, even though they lost the series finale, they still won the series 3-2. They still won the season series. They had tiebreaker, which is the important thing for season series if they end up in a tie at the end of the year. And it felt like they were really going to make a push to try and steal this division crown back. Because the Brewers' division lead going into that series was close to like 10 games. It was trimmed down to about 5 at one point, I want to say, at the end of this series or during this series. And so they go on the road to California to go play the Angels. And I think that a lot of people were like, okay, they got a shot. If they can keep playing the way they did against the Brewers, against that stiff competition, they're going to be competitive. And this might be something. and they go out and dominate on the road in Anaheim. They win 2 games by 1 run, but the game on Saturday, they won 12-1. And I know that pretty well because I went to that game. As most of you know, I live in Southern California. I went to the game up in Anaheim. And man, that was such a fun game. I'm telling you, that was awesome. I know you guys can't read it, but I actually score kept this game. This is the first game I ever score kept. Because I felt like, you know what, we're kind of at a point where I'm really watching baseball a bit more closely than I was, say, even 3 or 4 years ago. So why not? Let's go ahead and try scorekeeping. So I did it. I thought I did a pretty good job. I made a couple mistakes, but, you know, that's why I brought a pencil and not a pen. But, yeah, I got to scorekeep. Had such a great time. Got to see Kyle Tucker break out of his slump a little bit. Hit 2 homers in that game. Hit 3 homers on the series. Yeah, no, that was phenomenal. How'd see Reese McGuire hit a grand slam. That was pretty sweet. His first career grand slam. And by the time it was 10-0 at like the top of the 5th, it was over. It was so over. Top of the 6th, excuse me. But Cade Horton was absolutely dealing in that game. He went for 6 innings, didn't allow a run, allowed maybe 2 or 3 hits. But the crazy thing was that he went through 21 pitches without throwing a ball. The guy was dealing early and often. Angels get a home run off of Ben Brown after he came in. Whatever. Sure, break the shutout. But a 12-1 win feels really nice. They would win by 1 run the next day, but they pick up a sweep against the Angels. And let me tell you, after the first half of August felt like they couldn't win a series, to pick up their first sweep in a month and a half on the road, yeah, it's an Angels team that's not great, but a sweep's a sweep. Picking up a sweep is really, really nice. And now they've got some momentum to a team that was just playing really well against the Brewers that weekend, the San Francisco Giants. So that's where it's like, okay, maybe there's a shot here. If they can play well against the Giants, a team that played the Brewers really tough, they might be in a really good position. Yeah, that didn't happen. That did not happen at all. Honestly, that is ridiculous. To go from sweeping the Angels to getting swept by the Giants. I know they're on the road, but still, they got swept by the Giants. They finished 1-5 against the Giants overall this season. That was a bad series. And it ends on a walk-off, too. Where it felt like, okay, they haven't been swept in a 3 or 4 game series at all this season. They're leading in the 3rd game to avoid a sweep. Fine, get at least 1 win. And then they get walked off. And you're just like, well, it was going to happen at some point with the way they've been playing. So they have a nice week where they're like, turning things around here. It really feels like they've turned a corner. And then they go out to Denver to play the Colorado Rockies. You want the ultimate break series to give yourself a chance to recover and to regroup, and an easy opponent to punch down on. It's the Colorado Rockies this season. Couple that with the Brewers having to go play the next best team in the majors, the Toronto Blue Jays, and you're like, okay, great. They pick up a sweep. Hopefully the Blue Jays pick up 2 or 3 wins. Then you feel great. Doesn't happen. The Cubs gain 0 ground. I mean, 0 ground. Because the Cubs win the first 2 games, and that's expected. They should beat the Rockies. But the Brewers win the first 2 games against the Blue Jays. And you're like, okay, that's fine, whatever. They're doing their job. The Blue Jays are not giving us any help. The Cubs, all they can do is just keep winning. Blue Jays beat the Brewers yesterday, as I'm recording this on the 1st of September. They beat them yesterday. The Cubs go down 5-2 to the Rockies. Ian Happ, who has struggled a little bit, has gotten a little unlucky this season, hits a 3-run homer to tie the game in the 8th. And then the Rockies walk him off. And so you're like, great, we just lost to the Rockies and gained 0 ground. We cannot even take advantage of the fact that the Brewers lost a game here today. The one loss they're going to take this weekend. we can't even take advantage of it and get within another game because we lose. Right? It's one of those things that's just and that is exactly why making up ground is really hard to do. Because at the end of the day, the Brewers and the Cubs had the exact same record this weekend. They both went 2-1. Nothing changes. The Cubs need to go 2-1 or 3-0, and the Brewers need to go 1-2, 0-3 for things to really flip. And again, since the All-Star break, since July started, the Brewers have not lost, at all. It feels like they cannot lose. They're losing once in a blue moon. And because the Cubs, despite playing all right, again, they're not playing awful. But because the team that they're staring up at cannot lose right now, everything feels like we're in panic mode. The fact of the matter is, the Cubs are still 5 games up on the final wild card spot in the National League. Barring a catastrophic collapse in September, they are going to make the playoffs. And most likely, going to host a wild card series at Wrigley Field. If not, they're going to be traveling to most likely either Dodger Stadium or Petco Park to go play the Dodgers or Padres respectively. That seems like the outcome. They get whoever loses the NL West division race. Because right now, with a 6.5 game lead, with 1 month to play, in the way the Brewers are playing and they have been playing, I think we can kiss the NL Central goodbye. Even if the team still plays and wins 95 to 100 games, kiss the division goodbye. Because, man, the Brewers just cannot be stopped right now. They're 5 games up on the next best team in the majors. It's not even close. They're the best team in Major League Baseball by about half a dozen games. Anyways, a couple of things before you go. There are some real concerns right now with the 2 big stars that played so well for the first half of the season. Pete Crow Armstrong and Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker had a nice series in Anaheim. Yes, he hit 3 homers that weekend. Hasn't hit a homer in any other series in August. Had not hit a homer before then for even longer than that. He's in a major slump. And we got to talk about Pete Crow Armstrong. He had a bad August. I mean, a really bad August. I think this August takes him out of the MVP race. I know some people might not want to hear it, but the way he played in August, I think it takes him out of the MVP race. He played really bad. I mean, under 200 average, 223 on-base percentage, struck out the most on the team, had just 1 homer. I mean, the guy had just 5 RBIs all August. The guy is in a massive hitting slump. He's striking out the most. He hasn't drawn a ton of walks. The guy just can't get a hit to save his life right now. He's hitting a major slump, and we're relying on a lot of other bats right now. Which, here's my message to Craig Counsell right now. Why is Matt Shaw not starting every single game? Why is he not starting every single game at third base? Willie Castro, he's fine. If you want to do it once every 5 or 6 days, start Castro instead of Shaw, fine. But Matt Shaw needs to be the everyday starter. He's probably one of the best, if not the best hitter on the team in August. The guy was raking. I don't know why you just decided, I don't want to play him. I don't know why. I don't know what told you to sit him. You cannot start him every game. Well, and I just saw that Owen Casey just got optioned back to Iowa. I want to say in favor of Moises Ballesteros. I want to say he came back up. Instead of doing a bit of a swap. But Casey, in the short sample size, played great. I thought he played a really nice series against the Brewers when he's played. He had that beautiful track down in right field to throw home. That was awesome. But I can understand he's a bit of more of a raw prospect. You want to give him a taste for the show. The team is a little bit desperate. They've struggled with the bats, and Casey has just been absolutely raking in Iowa. So I understood why they moved him up. Fine. Take him down. Give Ballesteros a shot if that's what you're doing. If not, they're making room for Carlos Santana, who they just got from Cleveland. Anyways, it's put up or shut up time, Cubs. You want to push for the NL Central, you have to do it now. Right now. If not, sure, have fun being a wild card. I mean, at this point, I will take the playoffs. I will take the playoffs in any capacity right now. I mean, again, Chicago hasn't seen a playoff team since 2021 overall, and they haven't seen a real competitor in longer than that, probably. Because when the Bulls and the White Sox made the playoffs in 2021, they weren't exactly contenders. They were still happy to be there, but they didn't really do much in the playoffs. But they were still there. But the Cubs haven't been since 2020. The Blackhawks haven't been since 2020. The Bears haven't been since 2020. And the Cubs, they did win the NL Central that year in a really short season, but the Blackhawks only got in because of the expanded playoff format. The Bears got in because it was the first year of a 17 playoff format. So I just need to see some playoff baseball. I just need some playoff sports right now. I will take the playoffs, especially if they get the top wild card to get to host a wild card series. I will take that. But if you want to win the NL Central, you got to do it now. So we need the bats to start hitting again because the offense has not been giving these pitchers run support for the most part at all. We need to make sure that Matthew Boyd continues to play well. He's tapered off a little bit since that hot streak he was on around the All-Star break. Cade Horton's playing well, especially as a rookie. Shota Managa's playing well when he can. He's had a couple if he starts this year. But if we can have those three guys just continue to pitch well, and if you can go out and win every time those three guys go out to pitch, you're in a pretty good spot. Because the other guys, there's a couple spots open on the rotation, honestly. So if you win with those three guys out, that's probably a good thing. But you need to make sure that you get some run support. Because holy cow, that pitching staff needs some run support. And they have not been getting it. But also the pitching staff needs to tighten things up too. They've been letting up some runs. They just got to play better. That's just the bottom line, I guess. I know, groundbreaking analysis right there, but I don't know. That's all I got. We'll see where we're at in the middle of September. Hopefully, they're in a place where they're competing. But I mean, their schedule's not too bad. They get the Braves, Nationals, and Braves again. They got the Reds in there. They got the Cardinals in there, who haven't been having a great season. The Mets are their toughest opponent, and they get that series at home. So they got to really take advantage of a weaker schedule to end the year. And this is exactly why you want a weak schedule at the end of the year, in case you need a playoff push, or you need a push when you're down 6.5 games in the division. Anyways, that's it. I'm done. If you liked it, please give it a like. I want to know if you like the baseball content. Please subscribe if you like the baseball content a lot and want to see more from me. That'd be awesome, and I'd love to see that. And then let me know what you think. Keep the conversation going down in the comment section below. And, well, I got nothing else. Go Cubs, go, and I'll see you guys in the next one.